Hello and welcome. I'm joined by Nina, and today we're looking at a date that stands as a pillar of legislative progress and cultural richness.
And I'm here with Elise. It is January 31, 2026. Today on Deep Dive, we're exploring a moment that fundamentally rewrote the American story alongside a struggle for workers' rights and a trio of birthdays that span 3 centuries of artistry.
We begin in 1865. On this day, the U.S. House of Representatives achieved something that many feared might never happen during the depths of the Civil War. They passed the 13th Amendment to the Constitution, which officially abolished slavery in America. The vote was 121 to 24, and it was the culmination of an agonizing political battle.
Right. It's such a powerful piece of writing, Elise. The amendment states very clearly, neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as a punishment for crime whereof the party shall have been duly convicted, shall exist within the United States. It followed the Senate's approval from the previous April, and while the war was still raging, this vote ensured that the post-war nation would be built on an entirely new foundation.
The aesthetic of that moment is often pictured through the lens of Lincoln and his cabinet, but the reality was a grit-filled struggle for every single vote in the House. Once it passed, it went to the states for ratification, which was finalized in December of that same year. It changed the legal definition of personhood in America forever.
While we're talking about structural changes to society, we have to look across the Atlantic to Glasgow, Scotland. 54 years later, on January 31, 1919, the Battle of George Square broke out. It was a massive confrontation during a strike where workers were demanding a 40-hour work week to help combat unemployment after World War I.
Exactly. The scale of that confrontation was staggering, Nina. Police clashed with tens of thousands of strikers. The government, fearing a Bolshevik-style uprising, actually deployed troops and tanks to the city center. Seeing tanks in a British city was a shock to the public conscience and marked this as one of the most significant labor disputes in British history.
It shows just how hard-fought the standard workday was. Transitioning from the struggle for labor to the beauty of creation, we have 3 very different but equally impactful birthdays to celebrate today. We start way back in 1797 with the birth of Franz Schubert.
Schubert is such a fascinating figure, Nina. Even though he died at just 31, he was incredibly prolific. He is the master of the Lieder, or German art songs, and his symphonies and chamber music are characterized by this exquisite, often melancholic beauty. He really bridged the gap between the classical and romantic eras with such grace.
Yep. From the refinement of 19th century Vienna, we jump to the bright lights of Broadway and the birth of Carol Channing in 1921. She was such a force of nature. Most people know her as the definitive Dolly Gallagher-Levi in Hello, Dolly, but it was that unique, gravelly voice and her larger-than-life stage presence that made her a true icon of American musical theater.
And we can't forget our 3rd birthday, bringing us into the modern era. Justin Timberlake was born on this day in 1981. He has had such a remarkable evolution, hasn't he? Going from the synchronized choreography of NSYNC to becoming a solo powerhouse with hits like Cry Me a River. He really defined the sound of pop and R&B in the early 2000s.
He really did. From the heavy weight of constitutional amendments to the light of the Broadway stage and the melodies of a pop star, January 31st is truly a day of massive shifts and enduring creativity.
It has been a pleasure exploring these stories with you, Nina. Likewise, Elise. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive. Find more at deepdive.neuralnewscast.com. Deep Dive is AI-assisted, human-reviewed. Explore history every day on Neural Newscast. We will see you tomorrow.